We are talking about the stock market, investing, and preparing for retirement today. Dale Smothers is with me, founder and president of RDS Wealth Management. Thank you for being here.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you for having us.
A lot to take in, but this is such an important conversation right now because a lot of people are nervous and thinking, how am I ever going to manage retirement? But this is really a topic that you should start thinking about when you start working.
Certainly. The sooner the better. There's actually a pretty amazing statistic, I guess, and even a study now that's been published, and it's a hypothetical statistic, but it talks about two individuals, one that saves money for 14 years early on in retirement, one that saves 14 years later once they have their career established and everything is up and running and the kids are close to out of the house. And the difference is night and day. And that's actually something that I believe Dave Ramsey uses, and he is talking about putting money away today. Putting money away today is going to be better for you. I mean, it'd be better for you to put smaller amounts of money today because of the power of compounding. Smaller amounts of money today is to say I'll do it later, not only because we all know later never comes, but because of the fact of compounding interest. And Albert Einstein's famous for saying compound interest is the eighth wonder of the world. It's a magical power.
Yeah, you don't even have to think about it, it just does it.
Magical power, yes.
Ma'am. Let's talk about tax-deferred retirement.
Yes.
What kind of accounts are we talking about there?
Oh man, so any kind of, traditionally, probably any of your 401ks, 403bs, 457s, those accounts that you're putting away that you're getting a tax break on this year, those are traditional accounts. Those are tax-deferred accounts. Now I say traditional because it wasn't up until Senator Roth actually decided to make his own version of this, where you can pay taxes today and essentially not have taxes taken out of it later. We consider that the Roth IRA. So the Roth IRA came into existence, and when it did, it changed the way that people would start to plan for retirement. So most people still today have traditional accounts, these tax-deferred accounts. One of the unique things about those is that if you don't realize it, you're actually a partner with the IRS. You look at your statement, and no matter how bad it looks, 30% of that roughly is not yours. And so to nail down exactly how much money you have, we've got to know how much tax you're paying. And we don't know how much tax you're paying because we don't know when you're going to take it out, what the tax code will be. We often say the tax code is written in pencil, not very much written in pen. It's just not an ink thing. It's easily erased and readjusted. And so knowing today what the tax code is plays to our favor. Now, I'm going to kind of get out in front of you here a little bit and tell you that most likely, if you have a tax-deferred account today, you've got a great opportunity right now to do something called a Roth conversion. Now, depending on what kind of account that's in, 401ks, 457, some sort of employer-sponsored plan, you may not have this opportunity. But if you have a traditional IRA that you've opened up on your own, and it's got any kind of amount of money at all in this account, you have the opportunity to do something called a Roth conversion. And what that does is that allows you to pay taxes today on a known amount at a known specific amount of tax, and move that to a tax-free bucket. We talk about diversification all the time in stocks and bonds and mutual funds and blah, blah, blah. You need tax diversification as well. Knowing that you can pay out Uncle Sam right now at a discount is a benefit for you. Now, what do you mean by discount? I hear people all the time, what do you mean, Dale, it's on sale? Taxes are on sale right now. So the Trump tax cut, like him or hate him, he cut taxes. And when he did that, he actually set that to what we would consider sunset at the end of 2025. And so our tax bracket that we're working under right now is going to be here for just a few more years. January 1st, 2026, we operate under the old tax bracket. We know that right now taxes are on sale for the next 2 to 3 years. Couple that with a down market. So the down market gives us an opportunity that we don't see very often, especially a down market that's where we're at right now. This down market allows, meaning the market was here and now it's here. It allows us to convert essentially the same number of shares, or let's say a higher number of shares, depending on how you play this, for less tax. Here's an example. If you have 100,000, let's say you have a share that's worth $100. That share is worth $100. Theoretically, if you were to convert it right now, let's assume you're at a 30% tax bracket, you pay $30 on that $100 share. The market has taken that share down to $50, let's say now, theoretically. That $50 share can still be converted, but you're only paying $15 worth of tax on it. Eventually, when that $50 share gets back to $100, you've saw all of that gain tax-free.
So when it goes up, You
no
don't have
taxes.
to pay additional taxes. It's already in the bucket.
That's exactly right.
Ooh,
It's
I
already
like
in the
that.
tax-free bucket. So being able to convert this to a tax-free growth bucket is more advantageous for us today. Several reasons, but we do expect taxes to increase. Now, my expectation is that they will increase by a multiple over the next decades, but we know for sure coming very soon they're going to increase by 20 or 30% just by going back to where they were pre the tax cut Donald Trump instituted. So we're using this as a golden opportunity for those that are 5 or 10 years from retirement to go ahead and start funding their tax-free bucket. Use this down market as an opportunity to get more money there.
So take advantage of where the taxes are now
100%.
and a down market.
It's a win-win.
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
Ooh, that is a good little tip of advice right there. I want to also remind you, this is OpenLine. This is your chance to call in, ask your own questions, learn things like this. 615-737+. Numbers right there on the bottom of the screen. Let's talk about finding the right advisor.
Oh, man.
There are a lot of advisors out there.
For sure.
How do you find one that is reputable, that knows what they're doing,
Right.
That speaks to you on your level, and that's not, calling anybody, not intelligent. It's just you're in this business.
For sure.
You know all the terms. You study this.
Exactly.
As a layperson, this is not what I do.
Right.
It drives me up a wall and down the other to be talked to like I went and got my master's degree in this. I'm like, no.
Right. No, for sure. And that's actually something that we are very conscious of when we're talking on our podcast, or we have a podcast called the Retirement Matters Show that you can find on Apple Podcasts. And if you listen to that, it's basically 30 minutes. Sometimes it's our radio show that we put on there. Sometimes it's talking with guests. And it's all about saving money, planning well, and living happy. So we do our absolute best to bring this down to a layperson's point of view. I think it's important to find the right advisor, because you do have those who are kind of want to do it on their own. They're all in. They know exactly what you're talking about. They want to do it on their own, and they want an advisor that's right there with them to hold their hand just in case they make mistakes. And then you've got some people who are like, hey, I don't understand any of this. Take it all. Depending on the type of advisor you work with, it's going to depend on which one. And if you're expecting one thing and they're expecting the other, it could be a counterbalance there. But at the same time, I think it's necessary for you to work with someone who's operating under the fiduciary rule, which is essentially they're operating under your best interests. They have to operate under your best interests, not the firm they represent. So that's kind of a play on words at this point in time. I mean, everybody's talking fiduciary, fiduciary, fiduciary. The reality is, to be a fiduciary, you need to be able to hold the right license. So understanding what license they hold, understanding where they specialize. Just like, if you needed glasses, you wouldn't go to your dentist. Right. It's not to say that either of them are better than the other. It's just where do we specialize. They have their specialty, And so our specialties, my specialty specifically, comes as the RICP. It is Retirement Income Certified Professional. We specialize in retirement income. That's where we specialize. We specialize in wrapping some security around the principal that you're investing, making sure that you're not losing a great deal of that in the market, but also taking advantage of the upsides of the market. There are other advisors out there that are more like the wolf of Wall Street that you see. The wolf of Wall Street, they're making trades every single day. They're charging you a commission. Understanding that is necessary for you to be able to find the right advisor. Also understanding, are they fee-based? Are they fee-only? Are they commission? How are you paying them? I think that's extremely important. Is there a better way to go? It would depend. So if you've got someone who buys and holds and never changes their strategy, then a commission might not be a bad idea. If you can pay 7% up front and never change that for 30 years, then you would be better off doing that, as opposed to someone like our firm who charges you 1% per year, roughly. Let's say on average, our clients see a 1 to 1.5% per year fee that's deducted off of their account. It's a relationship. It's not a transaction. Now, over the course of time, maybe they've paid 30%, as opposed to a 7. Sure. But the reality is, if you make that selection now and 30 years from now, you're still in that same, you probably haven't been given the right kind of advice. And what we see is a lot of times commissions can become costly because of the over trading of the account. So if you've got an advisor where you haven't made money in the last 10 years, there's a good chance they're making more money than you are. Because the last 10 years, the market's been nothing but straight up. Right. And so up until 2020, right? 2020 changed everything and became volatile. So I think understanding what kind of advisor you're working with, first of all, how they operate. Are they operating under the best interest of the firm they represent? You think, well, surely there's nobody out there, but there
of course there are. Yes.
And it's not to slap their hand. They're brokers. You know, we joke around all the time as fiduciary. You know why they call them broker? Because you're broker when you work with them, than when you didn't. But thinking about, are they a broker? Are they a fiduciary? Are they an advisor? How are they actually bringing their advice to you?
Okay.
And how are they being compensated?
That's really good information. We have to take another quick break. When we come back, hopefully more of your questions and definitely more of mine. Stay with us.